Well, it's the greatest honour of my life. You know, having come to Australia as a refugee, fleeing the persecution of the Jewish people in the Soviet Union, and we arrived penniless and alone, and I've fallen deeply in love with Australia. It's the greatest country in the world with the luckiest people in the world, and to be recognised in such a way, it's something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life, and particularly the reason for my recognition being the fight for the Jewish people and the fight against anti-Semitism. It makes it all the more rewarding, and I feel deeply humbled by this recognition.
Why have I felt compelled to speak out against anti-Semitism in Australia? Well, it was incredibly shocking. The 7th of October events were absolutely horrific, and I was reeling. And then the 8th of October happened, and the 9th of October, and I just was left wondering, what kind of country have we become, where the moral compass is so broken that the only people that are being arrested on the steps of the Opera House is the person carrying the Israeli flag, while everybody else is screaming and chanting and celebrating. One had to stand up against it because it was the only sane thing to do.
Well, for me, it's been about much more than just the Jewish community and its safety. It's been about the future of Australia, because I see this as Australia's fight. We are defending Australia's values, we're defending social cohesion in our country. We've got such a proud record as a multicultural, tolerant nation, but that's been undermined by the events of the last 15 months, where anti-Semitism has become normalised, and we've seen daily attacks on the Jewish community, none of which is acceptable. It's about defending who we are and ensuring that we are what we want to be, which is a multicultural, tolerant nation. I have received threats, serious threats, since the events of October the 7th, and instead of cowering me or making me less likely to speak out, it's made it even more important in my mind that I and others find their voice, because we need to take the message to all of Australia that what is happening in our country, in our time, is unacceptable. And the wave of anti-Semitic attacks in Australia have also gone around the world. And I think they've attracted international headlines for all the wrong reasons. And we're better than this. And we need stronger leadership, both from our political representatives, but also from our civil institutions and our law enforcement.
I see the same pathology in domestic anti-Semitism as the events that led to the Holocaust, the same desire to dehumanise and villainise the Jewish people, the same desire to see Jewish people burn. Anyone who sets fire to cars on a residential street is prepared to see people burn, and the fact that 80 years on we still have people so consumed by hatred that they would wish this upon others, it's sickening, and it makes me all the more determined to fight against this menace and fight against this evil, because our country is a blessed one, and we won't stand for this sort of thing. We won't stand for the corrosion of our society, for this slide into irrationalism and hatred and fear. It's a process which leads to sometimes the ultimate crimes. We've had
to postpone or cancel events, we've had police called, but in the flesh, just absolutely unhinged behaviour about two musicians who've stood up and said, we're Jews, we're Zionists, we support Israel's right as a democratic country to defend itself as a Jewish state, and for that we have been utterly vilified. It is bad for the entire country. It is bad for our society to have this rip through of such, to tolerate such just awful intolerance, to tolerate intolerance.
But Deb, I do think there is a silent majority out there.
I do too.
There are a lot of great people across the country who are appalled by this wave of anti-Semitic attacks and are now finding their voice.
I think that's right.
And it's been really encouraging to see religious leaders, whether they are Christian or Hindu or from other faiths, find their voice and call out the anti-Semitism and call for stronger government action.
And you know, we won this extraordinary award, so a lot of people have voted for exactly this, for cohesion, for the pushback against what's been happening over the last 15
and I
months.
see this award not about us as individuals,
No, that's
it's about
right.
the cause.
I agree.
And it's really humbling to join that list
Yeah.
of previous awardees, but coming at this time, it just reaffirms the message
Yeah.
that we all must find our voice, because history tells us bad things happen when good people stay silent, and the good people out there watching today, reading the article, hearing about the award, hopefully will find their voice if they haven't done so, and if they have, continue to do so, because Australia is better than what we've seen over the last 15 months.